All right, we are now joined on the Soccer Hour on KNBR 1050, brought to you by your NorCal Honda dealers, by Sierra Enge, of course, a Stanford star and now taking the next step in her career, being drafted 13th overall by San Diego in the 2023 NWSL draft. Sierra, what's going on? Congratulations.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I was super stoked to talk to you, and I just like take me through that moment of the draft process because like it's very like I don't like it's almost insensitive to like to athletes. It's like all of a sudden like your entire life you've been part of this team sport and it's part of a collective, and all of a sudden they're like, well, we're gonna rank you, one to however many here through the four rounds, and it feels very impersonal. Were you at all like, were you nervous, or were you just kind of like, hey, whatever happens, happens?
No, I was very nervous. I think the draft is a very unique process and something that, you just don't go through in other parts of your life. When I
Mm-hmm.
was committing to colleges, it was very much, you're talking to a bunch of teams, you're having lots of conversations, and then at the end of the day, you make an agreement and the coach makes an agreement. And with the draft, you don't necessarily have a say in it. You're just getting picked up by whatever team wants you. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because the opportunity to play in the NWSL is incredible. And I feel super lucky that I got that opportunity.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a nerve-wracking experience. You just don't really know. I didn't know when I was going to get called. I didn't know if my name was going to get called at all. So I was just kind of trying to sit there, be patient, and just kind of believe in myself. And it ended up working out. And I feel so lucky that I can be a part of the wave.
Yeah, and you have the association with the San Diego area. I mean, like that must like, that's the storybook start to the professional career, right?
Yeah, I mean, it really is a dream come true. When San Diego was one of the expansion teams, I was so excited. And it's just have grown up here, and this is my
Mhm.
home, and I love San Diego. I think there's no place that beats it. The weather, the food, the people. So I feel super, super lucky to be able to come, play in front of my family, play in front of all my friends, and my classmates, my teachers, people that I've grown up with. And so yeah, I'm super excited to get started. And I really think there's no better place than San Diego.
Now I got to go some San Diego talk with you because I lived there for a
Yeah.
few years. Met my wife down there. We lived
Okay.
across the hall from each other in La Jolla, and it's funny. Like I was your age 20 years ago, and now I'm 40 and doing this stuff. So it goes quick. But California burrito, like the place that we used to go to, and I think it's still there, is Santana's off Tecolote. Like, do you have what's
Okay.
your go-to spot?
Okay, yeah. So for California burrito, I go to Lourdes in Cardiff,
Mm-hmm.
which they do some California burritos do like tater tots. They do real French fries
Yeah,
in there. So I'm a sucker for French fries in my burrito.
yeah.
And then my favorite Mexican place that to be fair, I don't get the California burrito there, but the taco stand, there's one in Encinitas, one in La Jolla, I think, and one in San Diego. And their tacos are phenomenal. The al pastor taco is one of the best things. Like if I ever get to choose where I'm going out to eat, I'm going to the taco stand.
Did the ability to also get fine Mexican cuisine in the Bay Area play into your role of going to Stanford?
Oh yeah, yeah. That was a high list on my list of priorities.
No, it's the Bay Area is such a cool place, and you and I could probably go on for a much longer conversation about the fact that there isn't an NWSL franchise here, and again, we could go on for a while about that, but I'll give you a little bit of a personal history for me. Like my dad is a sports broadcaster as well. He's semi-retired now, but back in the day, he was a broadcaster for the WUSA when the Cyber Rays were
Oh
going
yeah,
back in the day, and so I was like when the US won the World Cup in 1999, I was 16 going on 17 at that point. And like Nike had put a lot of money into Mia Hamm and the women's national
yeah,
team. And like at that point, I felt like it was going to take off because I was watching these women run around who were the best in the world. And I would go out to Spartan Stadium when my dad was doing the broadcast and watch the game. And I was like, oh, this is going to take off. But then it didn't. And I've heard you
Mhm.
talk about this before. You've referenced Julie Foudy specifically, who is a stud. She's one of the, most awesome people I've ever had the chance to interview, but like
Yeah.
also Kristen Press. And then, your friend Naomi Gurma, who now you're going to be playing alongside. Like you get this awesome opportunity now because it does feel that in those 20 years since the WUSA came up and then faltered, and then now we're here at the NWSL. It feels like the timing is so right for you and your teammates and your fellow competitors to take this to the next level.
Yeah, I was actually having a conversation with some of my teammates from Stanford just the other day about this, because we were just talking about how fortunate we are. Like, we are entering the league at such an incredible time where you're just seeing growth, growth in viewership, growth in the amount of money that people are willing to invest in these teams. And so
Mm-hmm.
we feel super fortunate. And then I think also just being at Stanford the past, 4.5 years, and hearing from a lot of alumni about how much the program has progressed and how much work they had to do to get it to where it is today,
Yeah.
it's just really special to be able to hear those stories. And I think I'm super grateful for, all those women like Julie Foudy, like Kristen Press, like Alex Morgan, all those
Mm-hmm.
players on the national team that have fought and haven't stood for, what they're given, but have really asked and demanded for more. And I feel super grateful for the work that they have done, because, I wouldn't be here with the opportunities that I have without that. Um, and I think, it's going to keep growing, and I definitely want to be a part of that fight, to
Yeah.
keep pushing it to where it can be. Cause I think, women's sports in general, not just women's soccer, have so much potential.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm really excited to be part of it at a time where it's just going to grow exponentially.
I used to always riff when people would talk about the women's team and the fight for the equal pay. And I would always say, like, go to an average person on the street and ask them to pick Christian Pulisic out of a lineup. Probably couldn't. I was like, but if you gave them a Rapinoe or a Morgan, I'm willing to bet they could do it. And to me, like,
Yeah.
that's such a huge test of like the breakthrough that the women's national team has had. And like, in terms of like trying to ride the tide or the groundswell of support that's going on in San Diego. Like, I don't know if people were expecting the fan base to be like that, because, we had seen the Chargers leave, which it's ridiculous. And I don't, again, that's another one of those long conversations we
Yeah.
can save for another time. Cause yeah, LA needs 2 football teams that nobody cares about in LA, that again, but that franchise, like, I don't know how much that's permeated to because you've been obviously focused playing at Stanford, one of the premier collegiate programs in the country. Like, how much attention were you paying to the NWSL and the fact that, you had these 2 California franchises come in last year, and maybe a lot of the focus was on Angel City FC initially, but by the end of the year, everybody was like, what's going on in San Diego? Like, this fan base is insane. The numbers, huge.
Yeah, I think so. I've been following the NWSL for a while just because I have so many teammates and obviously play soccer, so I have always been invested in it. But you would watch games and you would look, they pan around the stadium and it's basically empty. Um, and I think these past 2 years have been instrumental in kind of developing more fan bases in each of the cities. And now when you watch, so many more of the stadiums are packed and there's an excitement around it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think San Diego is really unique. I mean, I was in high school when San Diego tried to get an MLS team for the first time. Who knows if that's going to happen again? But people rallied around it. Like, the city, I think, kind of blocked it, and it ended up not working. But fans were out in the streets. Like,
Yeah.
people really wanted it. I think San Diego, people here are passionate about sports, and I think there's a big soccer fan base here. And so once there was a team that they could go out and support, I think fans were elated and just rushed to be there, rushed to be, at this kind of historic, first San Diego Wave team. And I mean, you saw that with the numbers, like selling out Snapdragon, making NWSL attendance records. So I think, yeah, San Diego was just looking for a team that they could really call their own. And I think they've really embraced Wave, and we have, so many great supporters here. And so I think, yeah, San Diego is a soccer town. So I'm super happy they finally got a team.
How long did it take you to talk to Naomi after you were drafted? Because I know I believe she was already down under at that point, right?
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she was actually on FaceTime, right, like moments before and then right after. So it was not long at all. Naomi is one of my best friends, and so she was super upset that she couldn't be there with me, but she was on the phone and super happy, and we're just really lucky that we get to be teammates again.
I want to say, when she was drafted, weren't you right there with her?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, we were actually in London, which was we were there for a trip, and
Yeah.
we were going to maybe come back early, but the draft was remote. So we ended up just doing it from our little apartment in London, and it was awesome.
That's so cool. Yeah, it's by the way, like the fact that the NWSL is doing it in person now, like that's to me, that's huge to have the TV event, to have the publicity. I think that's another one of the many steps that needs to happen, but I'm glad that it did happen. Let's talk about playing with now your friend Naomi, and then also you get to go against, a competitor that you used to have in college. And granted, it wasn't the same conference, but you guys usually play. And Kelsey Turnbow, like you
Mhm.
go now to where you'll be playing against former teammates and playing with former competitors. How is that going to be?
Yeah, I think, it's similar to what I went through in college of I had so many teammates that played in the Pac-12 and all over the US at top schools. So
Mhm.
playing against them is definitely a weird feeling because you feel like you have, this bond, but at the same time, I'm competitive and so I want to win. So I think, at the NWSL, it's just going to be even more heightened because, you're now playing at a professional level. So I'm excited. I played for the Blues growing up a little
Mhm.
bit for I think about 3 years, and we had 5 girls from our team get drafted, which is super exciting. So I'm excited to be able to play against them, and it also gives me the opportunity to see them when we travel to different cities.
Do
Um,
you? Oh, sorry. Continue.
Oh, sorry. And then I was just saying in terms of, playing with people that, you've played against for so long. I'm just excited. Like I've always really admired Kelsey as a player. I hated playing against her. And so the opportunity to play on the same team with her is so exciting.
Yeah, no, it's going to be cool. And like that's the thing, is like there's so many different things to be excited about. I was talking to Izzy DeQuilla of Santa Clara last week
Mhm.
about all this and asking her about what she was most excited about. What are you most excited about now that you're taking this next step in your career?
Yeah, I think the thing that I'm the most excited about is just the opportunity to learn. I think, Casey and the rest of the technical staff at San Diego are incredible. And just in the little bit amount of time that I've gotten to work with them, I feel like, I've gotten so much better and I've just been able to listen to little nuances that they're trying to coach and just trying to pick up as much as I can from them. And then I think also just learning from the players. There are so
Mhm.
many talented players on the wave and so many people that I can learn from. I mean, for me, playing the midfields, I love watching Emily Van Egmond. And so I'm excited to just be at practice with them every day to kind of watch what they do, try to pick up as much as they do, as much of what they do as I can, and really just grow as a player.
Or is there anyone you're looking forward to going in and challenging on a 50-50 ball or going to ground hard on a tackle to just kind of say like, hey, I'm here, I belong?
I don't think so. I think, there's just you want to go in and prove that you belong to everyone and not necessarily, doing it by sliding in, making people angry with a tackle, but hopefully just showing them that, I belong in the way that I play and the way that I carry myself.
No, that's cool. It's like you're going to find out a lot about your game now, right? Like this is the hardest part, I think, that for a collegiate athlete to take this next step, because ostensibly you've never been better. Like the way that your career arc has gone, you've gotten better and better and better. And then now at what is the height of your game, you're now being thrust into a whole new arena where the difficulty gets ratcheted up, where the talent level gets ratcheted up, where everything becomes more intense. Is that a weird kind of juxtaposition to be like, hey, I've never felt better, but now maybe I'm not going to be as good, at least not initially at the start?
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that's weird and, always uncomfortable because, we're humans. We want to succeed and we want to feel confident in whatever environment that we're in.
Mhm.
But I think it's exciting. I always believe that you grow the most when you're in uncomfortable situations. And so I think for me, the way that I'm trying to frame it is just, embrace it, embrace, not being the top dog, not being at the necessarily the height of my game anymore in terms of, confidence in the players that I'm playing against, but just learn from it, embrace it, and try to get better every single day.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting because I imagine that you probably have a very good idea of what you want to work on with your game, but you'll probably learn new things that you do need to work on in very short order, probably during training camp and in the preseason in those first few games. Are there things that you are already looking at within your game where you're saying I need to improve on, X, Y, and Z?
Yeah, I think some of the things that I've been trying to improve on a lot this off season is just, being a little bit stronger and tighter on defense. So really working on closing spaces a little bit quicker, blocking shots, trying to poke away the ball. And then offensively, something that I definitely want to, continue to get better at and work on at Wave is just being more involved in the attack. I typically play more of a defensive midfield role, but I think I can, even from there, impact the attack a little bit more. So trying to, move forward with the ball, turn in tighter spaces, find penetrating passes out of that, and then also just getting clean shots off. So those are kind of, the three things that I've really been trying to focus on this off season.
In terms of an off season, like have you even had like much of one? Because it was like, college cup time of the year, and then the season comes to an end, and then suddenly it's the holidays, and then suddenly it's draft time. I mean, we're recording this on January 18th. Have you had a chance to kind of like chill out and let your body rest, or how has it been?
Yeah, we actually, we lost at Stanford right before Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
So, as much as it was a bummer to get out earlier than we wanted, it was kind of a nice time for me to come home and reset a little bit. So I was home for Thanksgiving, and, kind of just let my body rest. And then I went back up to Stanford to finish out the quarter. So
Yeah.
I finished school completely in December, so I kind of went back up there, got to see a bunch of friends and just kind of, say goodbye to Stanford, which was a place that, has been so special to me and will continue to be very special to me. So that was kind of a nice period where, I wasn't super worried about getting on the field and kind of let my body rest while
Mhm.
also, building friendships and saying goodbye to a chapter in my life. And then, the holidays were great. I got to spend great time with my family, travel with some friends, and just, kind of reintegrate my body, start working out then. And then it's been nice because I feel like I got a good period of transition. And since January, I've been in with Wave training. So I feel like I'm kind of back in real training mode, and I'm excited for season. So I feel like I've gotten a good enough time to rest.
Nice. Have you talked to Coach Ratcliffe yet since you've been drafted?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, he's, been great through the whole process and, has helped me so much throughout my college career, just helped me grow as a player, as a person. And so he messaged me right after I got drafted and, the whole Stanford coaching staff. So I feel, yeah, I'm super grateful for them all. They've been instrumental in my soccer career.
Yeah, I mean, we're spoiled in the Bay Area to have the programs that we do, whether it's Stanford, whether it's Santa Clara, whether it's Berkeley, and the players that have come out of these programs. Like, is that something that you're taking with you, that you are representing Stanford, even though you are now a member of Wave?
Yeah, for sure. I think, Stanford imprints you. And so I think you leave there and you want to continue to represent the university, represent the soccer team. And so that's definitely something that I think about as I, step into this next phase of my life.
Awesome, Sierra. Well, I will let you go because I know you have a busy schedule. You've got a season to get ready for. But again, congratulations. It's awesome. You have, for most of us, sports end in high school. The dream dies there, but you are living that dream of going on to becoming a professional athlete. It's the coolest thing. The hard work's paying off. Hopefully, I can bug you again for an interview soon. All right.
Yes, thank you.